take it off tonight's thing. Go ahead, Dave. 7 o'clock.
Yep.
Meeting called to order. Today is Tuesday, July 17th. It is now 7 p.m. Town Council meeting in the Town Council Chambers, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island. John, will you lead us in prayer and Jag,
Before we do the prayer, I would like to ask if we could have a moment of silence for Jared Carpenter, whose family are lifelong residents of the town of West Warwick, and this young boy just recently passed away in a dirt bike accident suddenly.
Thank you. John, will you lead us in prayer?
Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening as your humble servant. We ask that you watch over these proceedings and bless us with your divine guidance and your unparalleled wisdom. Help this council to always engage in meaningful discussion and remind us to be thoughtful and compassionate in our decisions, as our choices affect the lives and the well-being of others. Please bless the great town of West Warwick and the good citizens who live in it. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Andrew, listen to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Licciardi,
Here.
Councilman Messier,
Here.
Councilman Padula,
Here.
Council Vice President D'Amico,
Here.
Council President Goslin.
Here.
There's a quorum.
At this point, I'd like to close the executive sessions. Under Section 42-46-4 and 42-46-5A47 of Rhode Island General Laws, the council will close the executive session that was held on July 9th that discussed discussion regarding a new fire chief.
I'll second.
Well, you can do both
Both at the same time. Under Section 42-46-4 and 42-46-5A47 of Rhode Island General Laws, the council will close executive session that was held tonight, July 17th, to discuss litigation between National Grid and the town of West Warwick.
I'll second.
Moving second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Appointment of the West Warwick Fire Chief. Resolved that the Town Council of the Town of West Warwick hereby appoints, upon recommendation of the Town Manager, J. Jeffrey Barone, pursuant to Article 14, Section 1401 of the West Warwick Home Rule Charter, as the West Warwick Fire Chief, effective July 30th, 2018.
I'll move the resolution.
I'll second.
Moving second. Discussion. Mr. Manager?
Yes, after 10 years of distinguished service to the town, the fire department, and community, Chief Barris announced that his decision to retire, and his last working day will be the 27th of July, Friday the 27th at 27th, his last working day. And on a personal note, I haven't worked with the chief a long period of time, but I enjoyed our relationship and his advice. And it seemed like every month, week, there was some crisis, whether it was a power outage that lasts for days, whether it be nor'easters, floods, or potential floods. Chief was there, very steady hand, and certainly I wish him well in his retirement. We had an extensive recruitment process to fill the position of Chief of the West Warwick Fire Department. And the recommendation is Mr. Barone. He's currently an acting Deputy Assistant Chief for the Providence Fire Department. He's held that position since 2015. He recently completed 35 years of service to the Providence Fire Department. And he held many positions: battalion chief, captain, lieutenant, firefighter. Certainly has a tremendous amount of experience in firefighting. He has a bachelor's degree, a Bachelor of Science degree from Providence College in Fire Science, and he attended the United States Fire Administration's National Fire Academy. I believe his experience and education will be tremendous assets as he leads the West Warwick Fire Department in the future. So it's my recommendation that the council confirm the appointment of Jeffrey Verone as Fire Chief of the West Warwick Fire Department.
Any comment from the council?
Welcome aboard.
I haven't voted yet.
After we vote,
I
welcome
just-
aboard.
Any
I-
public comment?
I
Angel?
just want to thank Chief Barris for the working relationship you had with us. You're always there for us anytime I call you, even on Sunday nights, Joe. I want to thank you. I wish you and your family all the luck in the world and enjoy your vacation.
I'd like to also echo Councilman Padula's sentiment. It's been excellent knowing you. I mean, I'm glad you're not going away.
We're still gonna know.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, I have learned so much from you, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and to truly learn from you. And I think that we're losing a good man, and I think you're entitled to retirement, and I hope there's great things ahead for you.
Myself, I echo exactly what the other councilman said. I always put 45 minutes aside when I know I'm calling Chief Barris.
That's all you put
I
aside?
put aside an hour.
But again, very knowledgeable, always kept us informed what's going on in the department, what's going on in the area if there's a fire. Actually, him and his department got us on text message, so we know what's going on when a working fire is in place. It was, like I said, a great relationship. I wish you the best of luck in your family. Mr. Verone, you have some big shoes to fill, especially when it comes to money. Mr. Barris was very frugal. So once we vote, I do wish you the best of luck and hope we get that same working relationship with you. Any public comment? Hearing none?
I'd like to say one thing, Chief. Thank you. I've learned a lot from you over the last year and a half. And I feel you're somebody that I could call and have a conversation with and get an honest answer, even though I knew it probably wasn't the answer I wanted, which is really, it's big. And we know you're still in town, and there's going to be plenty of boards to serve on if you'd like to stay in the community.
Me and Murray has me driving.
Thank you very much.
Any
Thank
other
you.
comment?
Thank you, Chief.
Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Angelo?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Congratulations, Chief Verone. And I'm sure there'll be some sort of swearing-in ceremony that we'll hear about, so.
Yes, there'll be a simple ceremony on his first day, and then later there'll be more of a ceremony.
Thank you.
Good luck, Chief.
Thank you.
Joe, stay home. We'll fill him in on that river. He'll be a fast learner.
Appointment for the zoning board of review. There's supposed to be no action taken.
Well, I want to discuss this real quick. For some reason, the alternate position applicant is on here, and it should have been the other two applicants, which we can't fill a temporary position, an alternate position when we haven't filled the full position yet. We did get two requests, which would be Richard Banks and Justin Kutu. It isn't, their application is not here. We had received all their applications, so talking to the solicitor, he says we should take no action on this. I feel a little different, but it's up to you.
That's been an open seat for months now.
Well, it had to be advertised 3 times, which it was.
It was, we advertised it, we didn't put it on the agenda, but I don't think it should be postponed anymore. I think that board is a very important board in town, and I think that should be voted on.
Anybody else?
I do agree that it should be decided. It's been too long. I'm not happy that there's a screw-up tonight.
I say let's get it done and move on.
Jay?
Yeah, I tend to agree, but
Right.
I don't
Well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
want there to be an issue afterwards. That's my only concern.
Again, we have two applicants, Richard Banks, Justin Kutu.
So probably because it wasn't posted right, we probably will have an issue.
It could be challenged, that's exactly right. So, I mean, in one aspect, I agree with all of you.
I would like to do it now, but I think
Let's-
it'd probably be
let's
prudent
do
to
it.
just put it on the agenda for August 7th. That would be my suggestion. Just so there's no question about it. We'll have to do it again on the 7th anyway. That's my suggestion, but only one vote.
Angelo?
I think we should put it on the next agenda, because it's
Jay?
gonna open up a can of worms one way or the other.
I'm all for doing it now, but it's your call.
I'd like to do it now, but based on what the solicitor has said, I think we should wait.
I just don't wanna see it challenged and then it's at,
Then it'll
for a
postpone
position
it
that's
longer.
gonna be filled, so go on longer. All right, so make sure that's on the
2 weeks.
August 7th agenda. And then,
Can we fill that other vacancy the same night?
and we can fill that vacancy after we fill this vacancy. And please make sure it gets notified. Like I said, we have two candidates that put in for it. I haven't seen anybody else. So we'll go from there.
And the, what do you call it? The one that's just put on here now that shouldn't have been.
The alternate.
The
That should-
alternate.
Should be on later in the agenda.
Should,
Next-
right,
Next agenda.
but also, that is still open for anyone
To apply.
to apply for that alternate's position, because it has to be posted for 3 times on the council agenda. So there's still time, if anyone has the skills that wanna donate their time to the zoning board. It's a very, probably one of the biggest boards in town that is to do with our future, so.
Yeah, so let me reiterate, with that cannot go on the next agenda, because we haven't filled that, it's
Right.
not vacant, then it has to be advertised 3 times.
3 times.
So that'll be in the September agenda.
So anyone interested, please apply.
All right, so, thank you. We'll table that for now. Can I have a motion to table?
Motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I'm sorry that you attended here tonight, whoever, I know, Richard, I see you, but I apologize that you had to attend here tonight for that.
Maybe he just came to watch.
I'm sure. Matt behind you told me he's here too for that reason.
Appointment of interim chief of police. Resolved that the town council hereby confirms the town manager's appointment of Mark Knott as interim chief of police for the town of West Warwick, effective August 6, 2018.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anybody who doesn't know, and I know it hasn't really been publicized over the past few weeks, but Chief McGarrett, Colonel McGarrett, has put in his retirement notice. His last day is the 27th, Chief?
22nd.
22nd. And he's been an honor to work with as chief. I regret seeing him leave. I wish he would stay, but as he said, he feels it's time for him to move on with his career and his life. And put in many years of service here in West Warwick. And I gotta say, I was pretty proud of when he made his appointment. His mom, she had passed away, it came back, but she had passed away earlier this year. And just seeing her face when her son got promoted to chief up at the high school was something I'll never forget. And, working with him and working with his family, it's gonna be a great loss to the town of West Warwick when the chief retires.
And I just want to iterate what President Goslin said. John, as a lifelong family friend, it's been an honor and a pleasure. You're probably one of the straightest guys that I've come in contact with the 12 years I've been sitting here. You always have an answer, and like Councilman Licciardi said, we might not like it, but you get straight and forward, and you're truly going to be missed by myself and the constituents of this town, and I wish you and your family all the best. But you promised us 6 years.
Not to sound redundant, but it truly was a pleasure.
Like Chief Barris, I think, Colonel, you made the, when I first got elected to the council, it's a lot of it, I don't care what anybody says, it's baptism by fire. And we're expected to know everything that goes on in town, all the laws, all the ordinances, and if we don't, we're incapable. And I relied a lot on Colonel as well as Chief Barris, and you made this transition a lot smoother than I thought it would be. So thank you.
Kind of piggyback on what Jay said. You know, it was basically one of the first decisions the new council, me and Councilman Licciardi and D'Amico made. It was like 2 or 3 weeks in that we appointed Chief McGarrett. So it's sad to see you go, but thank you for all your years of service.
Yes, I'd like to echo that as well. Again, working with the chief a short time, I've grown to appreciate his experience, his understanding of the community, the leadership skills that he has with the department, his integrity. Very important qualities certainly for a chief, and for a manager coming in to have someone like that to rely upon was very important to me. And I wish him well in retirement. I hope he enjoys it, and I hope he doesn't make himself scarce and come around once in a while. Thank you.
Now, with that being said, Mark Knott is our next major in line, and he is going to fill in as interim, and then the town manager will go out and start advertising the position. And Mark's very capable. He's filled in for when Chief McGarrett is on vacation or whatever. Again, always very professional, always easy to call. If you got any questions, he gets you answers within 24 to 48 hours, as fast as he possibly can. And I think he'd be a great intern for now.
Yes, he has the experience and education, for the interim position. Certainly has all the qualifications necessary to lead the department. 24 years of service. He, as was said, the #2 ranking officer in the department. And I'm confident that he'll provide the excellent leadership during his transitionary time.
Any other comment? Any public comment?
From my work with the department, like the rest of you, I hate to see John go, but also from my work with the department, I'm thrilled that Mark's going to step in.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Congratulations.
Minutes of the previous meeting resolved that the minutes of the June 19th, 2018 FY19 public hearing for the West Warwick Civic Center, the June 19th, 2018 Town Council meeting, and the June 9, 2018 executive session minutes are hereby accepted.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Any public discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Managers report.
Yes, keeping with the personnel theme, 2 items. Interviews have been scheduled for the Director of Public Works position, so I'll be interviewing those candidates tomorrow. Narrowing down
Applied or any?
9 candidates. Be interviewing them tomorrow, narrowing the field down, and my intent would be is to follow the process with the fire chief to bring the top candidates that I believe can do an excellent job for the town to the town council for review in the executive session, and then after that, make an offer to the successful candidate. So we'll be moving on that quickly. As was mentioned earlier, the recruitment for the police chief. I would advertise for the position in the,
Ernie, I'm getting some
I'm sorry, feedback?
calls. I'm getting some calls from the public that's
Can you hear?
watching this. They can't hear
Okay,
you.
thank you. Just summary, Director of Public Works. The interviews are scheduled for tomorrow. A short list will be reviewed, will be narrowed down. Those candidates will be reviewed even further with the intent to make a recommendation to the council in executive session in the near future. With that, for the position of police chief, it would be my intent to advertise the position and chief in 3 areas. One would be the Rhode Island League of Cities and Town, the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association, and then the state of Rhode Island has a state job website that also can have municipal positions on it. I'd ask for that to be on it as well. So that would give us a good overview of the area for chiefs of police. I would intend to do a similar process to the fire chief, create a panel to review the resumes, narrow down the candidates for interviews, and make a recommendation to myself, and then I would conduct further interviews, background checks, and then the same process, make a recommendation to the council, in executive session of the top candidates that I believe would do a very good job for the town of Westerly, the citizens and the department. So those are the process that I'm going to follow, pretty much similar to identical actually to the fire chief's process.
Ernie, you're in Westport.
What did I say, Warwick?
You said
Westerly.
I know it's been a long week, but.
Well, actually, that was the last chief I appointed was in Westerly, so, but it was a long week, but, sorry, West Warwick. But the same process, and I believe the process will yield a very good result as with the fire chief's selection.
Any questions for the manager?
Yeah, I'd like to sneak a couple of things in on his, saying we have no council reports. On the next agenda, Ernie, I would like to have my total on my road bond money. I'm getting 2 different quotes, 2 different figures.
Sure.
I want that broken down for this.
I think we requested all council members get that total.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
So if we can
because
make sure
everyone's got
all-
the same problem.
Everybody's getting 2 different numbers.
Right.
The -0.
And the other thing, I've been receiving numerous calls, one in particular, Midville Country Club, for a fee for tobacco. He sells $200 worth of cigars to his golfers a year, and the fee is $300. I don't know who set the fee, but I think we ought to relook at that on their tobacco sales. And same thing we had with a friend of ours, Dave, down in your district, with the auction. He was getting charged every time he had an auction instead of a yearly fee. So I would like to open that up again and for discussion action for the next agenda. And maybe Al, we can touch base and,
That was brought before us 2 council meetings ago.
yeah, but we didn't hear when. I'd like to reopen it because, I mean, if somebody's selling, I think we're getting a little out of control here with the fees. If you sell $200-300 worth of cigars and you're getting a fee for $300, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. And what we're doing for what he's trying to do for his customers, and for him not to offer that to them no more. I mean, I should have never voted for this tobacco law to begin with. I made a mistake, and I'm the first one to say when I made a mistake. And I'm sorry for it now, because what it's doing is hurting businesses. But that, I have no problem with hiding them, but I have a problem with what the fees are gonna be.
That fee was just, was broken down, the fee was increased, and then it was changed at the request of the clerk's office from being an annual fee to all of them expiring on things at the same time. And your first one is monthly, and I think at that point in time was when the council went to the $300.
But it wasn't thought out, I didn't think it out myself, and I'm the first one to admit.
Well, it was thought out, but it was thought out for the big chains.
Right.
was
It wasn't thought out for the little mom and pop shop.
Well-
And I have no problem with them hiding it, not making it look like candy, I have no problem with that at all. But I have a problem with the fees, and they do make a good point, and when I rethought it,
What was the previous fee before?
150. So if it was doing $200 in sales, 150, I'm kind
At
of,
least he was
I'd like
breaking
to see
even.
his sales, I personally would, because I find that a little hard to believe that he's only
Well-
selling $200 worth of tobacco. He wouldn't be in the business of selling.
300 a year he sells.
I don't know if anybody'd be in the business for 300 if they're only making 150. Even so, I don't know. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I can tell you, everybody else who sells them around here, you know, 611, any other, Cumberland Farms, they do plenty of revenue on cigarettes. And to me, $300 for killing somebody isn't a bad price.
Well, you take a choice. I mean, you're gonna put a tax on alcohol. Whoever sells alcohol, it's already taxed to the limits. And the state's already, they better hope nobody quits smoking. They go broke in a month.
Anything else?
But I would like that on the agenda for discussion because some of the customers would like, some of the constituents would like to be here. That's all I have.
Anything else for the council, for the
Yeah.
manager?
Can we put a ward report on the next meeting since we only have one meeting a month in August? I mean, because we're just gonna steal the manager's report anyway, we might as well have a ward report in the next meeting. I have a few things in Ward 1. Many of you saw the Holmes building came down over the summer.
Ward
And-
3,
What?
what'd you say?
Ward 1.
You said Ward
So
1.
Ward 1.
You have Ward
I-
3.
Issue 1, Ward 3. I know, I'm in Westerly with Ernie. In Ward 3, the Holmes building came down in Arctic over the summer, actually in the spring, and at the Arctic redevelopment meeting last week, there was a conditional approval for a building to replace that. The developer plans to put a storefront and 8 condominiums there. I think it's a good move for West Warwick. I think we need something to go there. I don't want another empty building, an empty location there. I think we had some momentum going when that building came down. People were excited. I know it had a lot of history there, but it needed to come down. And Kevin Wilbur, the developer, is planning on rehabbing the old home sign. So there's going to be a piece of history there as well. And I know we're going to be having some things coming to the council very soon to further that. So that's first. Second, last week we had a meeting for the drainage project on Shippey Avenue, which is going to be starting in a couple of weeks. Very excited for those residents in the Shippey Ave area. They were here last week. So for those residents, stay tuned. I know a lot of them were already here, but stay tuned. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to be starting that project. The playground on Factory Street, tomorrow there's a meeting here. That project is also going to be starting very soon, which will be completed by the end of this summer. So we're going to have a new playground up at Factory Street finally. And finally, we had 2 awesome events at the West Warwick Civic Center this past weekend. Between the XWA Wrestling on Sunday and Friday night, we had the Brawl for It All boxing event. Between the two, 1,800 people came here, and there wasn't a problem at all. I think it was an awesome 2 events, so I want to thank Lori for getting 2 great events up at the West Warwick Civic Center. That's all I have for Ward 3.
I don't see board reports on the agenda.
We're sneaking it under
They're putting it on the town manager.
Which we do at any meeting, pretty much any meeting, we don't have a ward report.
Can I add a couple things?
I don't know why it's not on the agenda.
That's why,
Is that-
typically the ward reports are on the second meeting of the month. Just explains, typically on the second meeting of the month, when we have one meeting, they're not always on there, but we always,
Well, it should be on the board report, I mean, on the
By
agenda.
agenda, Open Meetings Act states it has to be on the agenda to be discussed.
Okay.
So there should-
Everybody make no more comment about anything not on the agenda. Move on.
Finance report?
Yes, there is no formal report for June 30th, 2018. At the present time, we're going to be preparing a report for the August meeting for June. June 30th reports are generally very unreliable as to how we end the fiscal year because, utilities are not included. They're always a month behind. Journal entries have to be made. And again, we are still going to be receiving bills from 18, as well as revenues for 18. So by August meeting, we'll have a good idea, and by the end of August, we'll have a very good idea of how we ended the fiscal year. The Finance Department, as I said, is going through actually a transition from FY 18 to 19. That's always a busy time. You have the new budget and the old budget, so they're handling that well. And our auditors have been in, for their introductory review, scheduling, and some information and so on. So they're here. They'll be back in early fall, and hopefully that will go well and smooth, and our goal is to have it completed by December 31st. So that's our abbreviated Finance Department report. But again, the summary of June 30th, FY18 will be at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Consent agenda, license applications, resolved that the consent agenda having been posted, all matters being referred to proper departments and being disposed of or awaiting recommendation, the same is hereby approved.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Any public discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I need to recuse myself from voting for one of the filling station licenses for Pat's service.
Vote them all in a bundle with the exception of Pat's. Do I have a motion to pass everyone but Pat's service?
I'll make a motion to pass all the licenses mentioned, but Pat Service put separate.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion? Public discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Now I need
I
somebody.
make a motion to bring up Pat Service Station's license.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion? Councilman Licciardi will be recusing himself from this matter. Any other comment? Any public comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Consent agenda correspondence, resolved that the consent agenda having been posted, all matters being referred to proper departments and being disposed or awaiting recommendation, the same is hereby approved.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Any public discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Amplifier, loudspeaker, and dance live band license, resolved that the town council hereby approves the following application. St. Anthony's Church, attention, Joe Carrara, date July 20th, 2018, July 21, 2018, and July 22, 2018, time noon to 10 p.m., 4 p.m. to 11 p.m., and noon to 11 p.m., location 10 Sunset Avenue.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any comment? Any public comment? It's a feast that happens every year. It's a very nice feast for the community and for St. Anthony's Church. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Amplifier, loudspeaker license, resolved that the town council hereby approves the following application. Franco McCoy Jr., doing business as Fight Factory, Rhode Island LLC, date August 4th, 2018, time 6 p.m. to 11:30 p.m., location 3 Bridle Avenue, Unit 3-1.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion? Any public discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
West Warwick Civic Center, Thomas A. Lamb, lease agreement. Do you want me to read this?
I'll make a motion to waive the reading.
Second.
Motion and second to waive the reading, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
Discussion, Al?
I was asked to review the leases that are entered into for the use of Thomas Lamb Fieldhouse. I worked with Tim on them. Tim had some suggestions that he wanted to make sure were included in those. And this is the form lease that the Lori will use to sign up with other people. When I reviewed the leases, all of Tim's suggestions are in them. I found no problems with them, and I understand the council wants to approve the basic lease that is used, and this is the lease for the Lamb Fieldhouse.
Any questions for Al?
Yeah, this is, like in other words, if you want to rent the Civic Center in Providence, I emailed, I think I forwarded it to you, in the Civic Center in Providence, you couldn't lease that for 4 hours for $200 an hour, which would cost $800. they'd get a set fee for you to lease that building. Is this just for the tenants that are there or the
No,
function?
this is nothing to do with the tenants.
That's what I'm gonna bring up in a few minutes. That's what she needs. She needs a lease agreement with the full-time tenants that are there, which is Mind and Body Studios.
Right.
Um,
But now this is for functions
What,
like,
events.
what happened was some time ago, the question of the leases for the functions. I assume athletic events at Lamb and at Magara, and what the lease refers to as events that are all over both facilities.
I think,
Questions came up on those, and the fees you're referring to, back, I want to say sometime early this year, the council passed a resolution setting the fees for the use of those facilities by outside organizations. When I found it, the council had passed the resolution. I brought it back to the council and had those fees put into our fee schedule. That was the only change. So the fees that the council has so far approved, to my knowledge, are the fees for an athletic group renting Thomas Lamb. There is another area of the tenants. This has nothing to do with that. We discussed it earlier tonight, and that's a contract between the town and a tenant that Tim's gonna take care of.
Laurie?
what I'm getting at, it's like if I rent the Civic Center for the night, 4 hours, whatever the fees it was, I don't have them, I didn't hit it on. If it's $200 an hour, it would cost me $800. What I'm saying is I get 2,000 people in there, $50 a piece. I'm making all this money, which you're allowed to make the money, but the town's getting peanuts, pennies on a dollar. I'm thinking when you have a big event like that, I think we should, a commercial event, exactly, the fee should be different. It should be, say, $2,000 instead of $400. This way here, we got the cleanup, we got the employees there. I mean, to me, it seems like we're just giving the place away, and when we can focus on making some money for the Civic Center, I mean, it's a small price to pay.
My only question would be, how do we differentiate, like, which event, like, based, because a lot of ticket sales are
If
at
you
the
have a
door,
fight,
at the
you have a
door.
boxing, you have a wrestling, you have a circus, big events, commercial events, not if the kids want to go over there and play, then it's so much an hour. But if someone's in that to make money, we don't mind them making money, because if they didn't make money, they wouldn't have the shows. But I think that we're too cheap on that, and we're providing police, fire, our employees, the cleanup of the facility.
Those were submitted to you, Angelo, resolution 2016, 137 was the time the council set those fees. When I found out about it and worked with Lori, resolution 2018-99, the only change that was made was what the council had approved in 2013, and it was that change. We're just putting it into the fee schedule. But the council.
I understand that, but I mean, doesn't that make sense?
Well, what you said does make sense. I've talked about a commission base, but
Yeah, but you
but
don't
remember,
own
they
the
do
tickets,
pay.
you gotta be in charge
Angelo,
of the
but they
tickets.
do pay,
Yeah, they pay
the
for this.
police, they pay for the fire, they pay for all the details.
But God forbid something happens, they don't pay for that.
No, it's
You
collected.
have a riot, you have a
No.
fire, God forbid.
All right,
Laura, you
can
can
I just, so there's 3 different agreements that we're putting forth. One is for, say I have a basketball organization and I want to come in and I want to rent once a month for 2 hours, and that's what I do.
I don't
So
have a
that's-
problem with that.
That's that one. So that's the first one. That's the Thomas A. Lamb one. Yes. The ice rink, same thing. So you have organizations, you have leagues that just come in and do that. The third one is the events. Do I agree that at some point I would like to be able to charge what the Dunkin' Donuts Center? Absolutely, I do. We don't have the means or the opportunity at this point. I mean, they
Why
have.
not?
Because they have, their electrical is completely different than ours is. They have the plugs that where they come in with these certain wires and they just plug in
right into everything. We don't have that. We don't have the acoustics. We're not there yet. We're getting there, but we're just not there yet. So at this event, scheduled the way that it's set forth right here, that's where we are right now. Do I want it to grow? Do I want to continue doing what we're doing? Absolutely I do. Do I make sure that every event that comes forth is paid up front? Because I'm not going to take that chance of, you don't sell enough tickets, I'm not chasing you to get the money for the
Yeah, but
police detail, the fire detail, any of that.
We're collecting pennies on a dollar, what we should be doing. There's not too many places, like a facility that we have, to
But
accommodate.
there is a lot of those facilities. I mean, you've got Teamworks in Warwick, you have.
And how many people does that
Kingston
hold?
Holds about the same amount of people that we hold. I mean,
In the
it's
Civic
probably-
Center?
Yeah, it's probably bigger than what we have. I mean, they have 2 full-size soccer courts in there. We have 1, I mean, so,
I
I mean,
don't
you've
know,
got Teamworks that has 5, 6, I mean, not Teamworks, the one in North Kingston and the one in Smithfield, Wide World Sports. I mean, they do basically
Yeah,
the
but
same
I'm
thing
sure
we
they're
do.
not getting that for $400 for the night.
But we're not paying $400 for the night. They have to pay for the setup and the breakdown. So they have to pay for those
Well,
hours.
that's
yeah.
their problem.
And
But I mean,
I
the
make
rent-
it very, very clear to them that the employees that are there are not there. The only thing they're there to do is clean the bathrooms and take the garbages out. They're there, they do their own setup, they do their
Yeah,
own
but they're
breakdown.
using our facility,
That's all they're doing. They're using the
they're
facility.
using our electric, they're using our time, our place, and they're making money and we're getting peanuts.
And again, when we can get those small things, when
What
we can
is-
get new acoustics in the building.
It's not a
when
small
we can
thing,
get-
though.
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
It's bigger things. but
It's a
we
huge
need-
thing, which
we
I
need
don't
to
see
get those
happening.
things- I mean, I do. I believe that if we continue to be able to rent it out the way that it's being rented out at this point, we'll be able to, in time, we'll be able to make the money that
My,
we're doing.
my question here is, I'm gonna seem negative. I'm not gonna vote at all for any of these because it's all related to the budget. And I wasn't for the budget for the simple reason is there are too many unknowns. And questions couldn't be answered that I had, which I think were pretty significant. And they were basically all financial questions. And this deals, hang on one second, please. This deals with finance. And, I mean, until I have those questions answered, I mean, and you can agree, we've all agreed, we have major issues down there, whether it's management. The concession stand floored me. And I don't know if that has been corrected. A system is not going to correct the issues that happen because people still have to run the system. They have to do the inventory. We don't even know what people are doing down there. So, and we're paying, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, $29,000 for a consultant to come in to a few different departments, and one of them is the Civic Center. I hate to wait because I'm not a patient person, but I think at this point we're paying all that money. Let's see what comes of this, and they're going there first, right? I don't know
No.
if you started, Ernie.
No, he's not coming to me till after DPW.
As he started, he's conducting his interviews, and yeah, he has started first week in July.
So we have August to go, which is one more meeting in August, and then he'll conclude, I think, middle of September. That's what he had said. So
Yeah.
I'd like to get his
Probably.
findings before we move forward with anything. Because we already have an agreement in place that we're using, correct?
These are the ones that are in place. I just want
So-
them for us so
What,
we
So
approve.
you
So
can
if-
vote on, so the new pricing for the holiday
if-
and whatnot, those prices can all go forward so I can give the
Right now, there's
regular
no
renters
holiday.
these contracts.
There's no holiday rates in these leases, there's
Doing
holiday.
this
That's fine.
doesn't mean we can't, I'm
It's
sorry.
fine.
No.
I'm being cautious with this because I'd rather I
Can-
want to do it right one time.
yeah, but can I clarify what's
So-
before the council? There are no fees before the council
That you
tonight.
haven't already voted on.
That, the fees were taken care of in Resolution 2018-99. That's not before you tonight. All that's before you tonight is a form contract, so that if somebody comes in and wants to rent the field house, Lori that now has a contract approved by the council that gives her the right to lease this facility. And all they're doing tonight is asking the council to approve a lease that she can use. It has nothing to do with the fees. The fees you set some time ago. If you want to get into fees, that issue has to be put back on the council agenda. This is just giving the council saying the form lease that you're using. Doesn't say money, it just says some blanks with names. The form lease you're using, we approve. This is the lease that I was given, I went through it, I found no problems with it. Tim had certain things, like the town ownership and what have you, that I made sure were in there. So all this is a blank lease. The money you're all talking about is in a total separate document that's not before you tonight.
You know, I agree, there's a lot of inconsistencies, and I agree what you just said, Al, but, my concern, and I'm gonna vote for this lease, so we could get going and we can't hold it back. But I also would like to bring up the fees for a commercial.
That has to be put on the...
Right, I would like to revisit that, because that is a different ballgame. And I understand with the kids, the basketball, the ice time, I have no problem with any of them fees that we approved. But I do have a problem with leasing it to commercial, and the small amount of money that we're getting for that has to be upped.
That being the case, all I can suggest to the council is that on your next agenda, you have a review of Resolution 2018-99, which is your present fee schedule. If you put that on the council...
I personally, in my opinion, this is very crucial that we don't have this on a council agenda. We have just a workshop for the Civic Center fees. It shouldn't be, because what happens with a council agenda is we get bundled up with a bunch of items, and then we don't really have time to go over
The problem with
everything
that,
on that.
the
So-
problem with that, David, is that it takes a council resolution to put it
But
in
we
your
could
fee
do a
schedule.
workshop on the fees. Councilman Padula has brought up that,
And then
you know,
tell
the
me what
same
to
thing
do.
I thought of prior to this was commission. You know, maybe we get a percentage of ticket sales, maybe we get a percentage of the liquor sales or food sales, whatever it may be. That's stuff that we need to look at,
That-
and that's
that-
to be done in a workshop, and then we can put a resolution
That
on the
would be
council
fine.
agenda.
If the council does that, then the council just says to me, put these numbers in a resolution, and that would be the easy way to
Would
do it.
commission be a difficult thing to do, especially for events like that? I know there's a lot of comp tickets. That would be, I mean, I don't know how it would be done. I'm sure there's a way, but
I have no problem researching within Connecticut, Massachusetts. I will get it all to you, I will email
That's
you,
all stuff we
I
can
will
talk
find
about.
out what we do. The only thing I do need is I do need the lease agreement moving forward, because obviously we all know that come September, October, November, hockey starts, everybody comes inside to use the facility. I just need the
when's
contract.
the ice gonna be back?
It's going to be started next week, and it will take a couple weeks just to, you know, really do it well. I mean, I'm sure that everyone here wants it done correctly, as I do.
Absolutely.
And I believe that there isn't any teams coming in till the middle of August, so it does still give a little bit of time. Unfortunately, the summer program children are very sad that they're missing out on lots of ice skating, but, you know, I'm hoping that it's in before the summer program is over and they can get lots of ice skating in that week or so.
Any other comment?
I was just gonna say, I think the workshop's a good idea, because there are questions that should be asked. Like, for example, you know, we probably should raise the fee on a commercial event, but also, like, you know, the handling of concessions. There's a lot of money to be made if we handle concessions. I'd love to see those things discussed.
I absolutely agree, and it's definitely something I
Where
would
the
look
money
into
is.
for everything. But I do need
Huge
those
advice.
leases. I mean, I have pretty much the regular renters on a daily basis asking me to, I mean, they, you know, they want to make sure they have their time inside for their organizations to be successful.
All right, let's get back to the lease agreement. Any other comment on the lease agreement? Come on up, state your name and address for the record.
Anna Spodnik, Carpenter Court. On the second page of the first lease agreement, if you go down to where it says West Warwick Civic Center, Thomas Lamb Fieldhouse, holiday pricing, you're going to see a box with 3 lines in it. You're going to go next down to pricing modification is subject to town council approval only. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, and I shouldn't be bringing this up because these things should not continue to happen in this town, does anybody proofread these things? Because the next line is payment for the use of the West Warwick Civic Center Benny Majera Ice Rink facility for the above stated purpose will be as follows. You can't approve this lease until it's corrected. This makes no sense. It goes from the field house, it's specific to the field house, and then here we go, second page, middle of the page, it's Benny Majera Ice Rink.
I can tell you that I corrected that in my submission to the council.
This was on the agenda that I printed at 5:30 tonight.
When I submitted,
You did send an email saying you did correct it.
when I submitted the lease, I changed that.
This is on the public site when people go to print an agenda. That information should be correct. We pay enough in legal fees where these mistakes should not continue to happen.
All I can tell you is that this is,
Make an amendment.
It's just something that shouldn't be happening.
Then it shouldn't be voted on. Good afternoon, Tom Oates, Colonial Way.
You did.
I have a question. Public comment. This is off the agenda. Comments will be addressed to the council who will take...
Tom, what are you talking about right now?
I'm going to finish. I'm going to start over. Public comment. Comments will be addressed to the council who will take them under advisement. What exactly does that mean?
Tom, that's not on the agenda right now.
Yes, it is.
You stood up for-
This is public comment for this
There is
contract.
no public
This-
comment on this agenda item, actually.
I'm not talking to Mr. Messier. This is public comment for this agenda item, is it not?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I asked a question. What does that mean? It will be taken under advisement.
But you're under you're reading it down further in the agenda.
No, I'm
for
not.
public comment.
I'm reading my notes. And my question is, under public comment on the agenda, it says, comments will, are only to be addressed to the council who will take them under advisement. My question is, what does that mean?
Take under advisement.
And what does that mean? Because if you go back to your minutes and your recording in February 1st, I believe, of this year, I asked the same thing and promoted the same exact thing that Councilman Padula just addressed. The Civic Center should be leased out. If it's a for-profit program, it should be on a percentage based on ticket sales or income. People are getting rich on using that, and we're barely making the bills. And that was brought up. It was put on public comment. So what does public comment mean if it's going to be taken under advisement? Now all of a sudden we have all the councilmen are all in agreement that yes, we need to look at this and maybe form a committee to discuss that. What happened between February when I brought up the same exact thing in public comment and it's been ignored? I've been waiting for an answer on
We've taken
this.
it under advisement.
And what does that mean?
That means now we decided we're gonna have a workshop.
So we're going to have a workshop since February. I'm going to try to keep my decorum here and, okay, now we're going to continue on. Back in
You
February.
continue on the lease?
Yes, this is the lease. What I just stated was part of this lease. My questions for that. Now, back in February of this year, I brought up the fact that our solicitor advised the council to approve an event in total violation of the town's own contract by allowing the sale of and use of tobacco and alcohol products in the Civic Center. Mr. Williamson stated that they have been, past tense, working on the changes to that contract. That was more than 120 business days ago, and today we finally have it. At what cost? A quick proofreading of that document that I did this afternoon, on page 7, under item 7, safety, line E. That's the only
Which
thing
lease
that
are you talking
changes.
about here, Tom?
Beg your pardon?
'Cause
Safety.
You're on the third one.
I'm on all three, actually. All of your contracts. The only change I can see on this contract in 120 days plus is this paragraph E has been changed, and it's eliminated the use of alcohol. Why? Why did we have to eliminate that? Why was that changed, that paragraph E?
Mr. DeFiore? Want to answer that question for him?
I have no idea what he's making a reference to.
I'm making a reference,
I-
this is
there's
the former paragraph E.
I was given a contract that was prepared to see if that was a good contract to put into effect now.
Mhm.
I reviewed it. I had nothing to do with the past contract. I don't care about the past contract. I was given one, is this what we want to do? I said, yes, and that's where I stand. Why they changed it, I don't know, and it doesn't matter. This is what we're proposing. That was the past, this is what we're doing now.
I understand the
So
proposal.
what was there is gone. This is it.
That's understood.
What difference does it make?
I'm going to tell you
was
what
there?
difference it makes right now. Mr. DiFiore, you've done an excellent job, and I appreciate it. It looks great. However, as it was described back in February, there was a problem with Mr. Williamson explained his convoluted interpretation of a Class P liquor license, which doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a Class P liquor license. No such thing. It's a class, no, there is not. It's a Class P catering license.
There is a Class P liquor license.
Class P catering license, according to the state of Rhode Island, it's a Class P catering license that is required to serve alcohol. So, there's absolutely no reason to change that wording. Why was it changed? Because a Class P, regardless if it's a liquor license or a catering license, doesn't matter. We changed the contract. However, back in February, it was told to this council that a Class P license supersedes any state, federal, municipal law, ordinance, or contract. And I have asked 100 times for somebody to produce that to me. President Goslin, I asked you, and you said you had the paperwork. And you
Tommy, I sent it to you.
you did. You sent me a photo of a photo. You sent me a photo. You sent me a photo. You sent me a photo. No, you did not. You sent me a photograph of a folded up Providence Journal newspaper article. And I could see the author of the article, and I contacted her, and she said anybody who would read into that is not very bright, the way it was read into. She had different words, but we'll just use that. There was no win of any court case. Where you got that is wrong. What was won there was a preliminary injunction. They didn't win a court case, they won a preliminary injunction, meaning that the city of Providence can't go in and stop them from serving alcohol because it was clouded in the wording of how the license works and the law. And they're working on that currently at the Department of Business Regulation, still being worked on as of 3 weeks ago. But still, you people were advised by your solicitor to approve the event or be liable for a lawsuit like the city of Providence and lose millions of dollars, which was absolutely false. So again, why did this word alcohol have to be removed on this new contract? If it was fine in February, why is it not fine now? And if we haven't been using this contract since February, what kind of a contract have we been using since then? Because if we have been using the contract, every one of these events that serves alcohol or allows smoking on the property, still in violation of state law, municipal law, ordinance, and contract. I know that was a lot to absorb, but I still,
If it was up to me, none of this would even happen because the town would run the alcohol and the concessions solely.
we spoke about that in February on public comment, which was to be taken under advisement. What was the advisement?
Held for further study.
And it's being held since February 6th till tonight.
Lori, any other comment?
Yeah, I just want to make it clear that Al did.
Just come up to the microphone.
Al did send an email correcting, and somehow, somewhere in the midst of everything, the wrong leases got posted, but on Tuesday, July 10th, at 2:48, he sent an email to all of us, and in that email, it said on the 4th page of the Lamb lease that you sent me, it entitles Benny McGarrett, and that he made the changes on it. So he corrected it. So somehow, so he's absolutely right, and somehow it just got swapped.
Just make
Okay,
a,
so I'd like
That's
to,
it.
can I make the amendment or the motion first?
make a motion to amend.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to amend
Second.
current lease agreement.
What section was that again?
It is in section
On page 4 of the Thomas Lamb lease, the heading on that page says, West Warwick Civic Center, Benny McGarrett Ice Rink. When I got that.
I don't have that on page 4. I have Thomas Lynn.
Yeah, I changed
You
it.
changed
Yeah, I got the
submitted it.
email.
Yeah.
But I got it on the town
submitted it
website.
to you.
That's the way
Thomas
they
Lynn.
put it on there.
Thomas Lamb. That's what I
Well,
submitted
where
to
did
you.
can I ask where you printed your copy up?
Where did I print?
Did you print it up from the Secretary of State's page?
No, I printed it up from the West.
This is on the Secretary of State's, that's the gospel.
Okay, I'm not, I went to West Warwick.
Well, I'm sorry, but the Secretary of State's is the proper one.
Really?
So why do we have the West Warwick site?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's correct on the Secretary of State's website.
So. Be accurate for the public. You know it.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm saying it's on the Secretary of State's, which supersedes the town of West Warwick's webpage.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the West Warwick Civic Center Thomas A. Lamb Team Facility Lease Agreement with the discussed amendment.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm
Ayes have it.
opposed. I'm opposed.
4 to 1.
For the record, yes.
4 to 1.
West Warwick Civic Center Benny McGarrett Ice Rink Facility Lease Agreement, sponsored by Council President Goslin.
Move. You gotta read something?
No.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Same as the last.
Any public discussion on the Benny McGarrett? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Ayes have it. 4 to 1.
Event Facility Lease Agreement, sponsored by Council President Goslin.
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Same as the last.
Any public discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
4 to 1.
Ordinance number 2018-16 as amended, second reading, sponsored by Council President Goslin, an ordinance amending Article 4 of the West Warwick Pension Plan for police and fire, and Article 4 of the West Warwick Pension Plan excluding police and fire.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Al?
This was passed first reading, and what had happened when I first, the reason it's as amended, when I first submitted it, the attorney for the, believe the union's call, contacted Tim because there was some language that was improper. That attorney submitted the corrected language to me. I corrected the ordinance, submitted it to you as an amendment, and you passed it for first reading. So it's here for second.
Any other discussion? Any public discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Angelo?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Ordinance number 2018-20, first reading, sponsored by Town Council, an ordinance amending Appendix C traffic ordinances of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of West Warwick, stop signs for Schofield Street at Garnett Street, Carrion Drive at Shannon Lane, and no parking signs for Pulaski Street at Patuxent Terrace.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Al?
Traffic report, these were sent to the traffic committee. Traffic committee did the study in accordance with our ordinance. The traffic committee made a report to the council. Based on that report, I prepared the ordinance. These places, these stop signs and no parking signs officially in the ordinances of the town of West Warwick, here for first reading.
Any other questions? Any public comment?
Can I add a comment first about
Yeah.
my particular stop sign? This one is when Councilman Licciardi and us came together to get those stop signs on Pulaski Street. There was a concern when you're pulling down Patuxent Terrace on the right, your visibility is very difficult to see to the right because of those cars that park there. So this is a where the wall is. Yeah, it's very difficult to see to the right when you're pulling out. So some constituents brought it to my concern, and I brought it to the traffic committee, and they agree with me. So there's going to be a small area over there where there's going to be no parking, provided we pass this.
Can you say how far from the end of the wall to in front of the person? It's 20 feet? Is this the entirety of that person's wall? Because they're quite tired of, I guess, of having Dreamland parked in front of their property constantly. And they're also now on Patuxent Terrace illegally parking up against a stop sign. And the residents there are getting, I mean, when I went around talking to them, they're basically getting tired of having to deal with these people at Dreamland. They are parked literally right up against the stop sign. That's illegal.
Well, they won't be at this particular intersection. I'm not sure the intersection you're talking about.
Patuxent Terrace.
Yep.
And Pulaski Street, right across from Dreamland.
Yep.
If you're coming out of Patuxent Terrace, there's a stop sign.
Yes.
There's been a
Got the one on the
car
left-hand side.
parked there day after day after day that is obviously a employee of
They
Dreamland.
have to be tagged.
Police won't tag them.
Why?
Two people have called and they said the police say that, you know, well, if they
Chief?
get to it.
Chief still here?
Same car. Every single day for 2 weeks straight that I know of.
They won't be able to, if this passes, they won't be able to park anywhere near this wall. At the stop sign, I can take a look at that and see exactly.
Well, the wall, that's going to be a big plus because somebody's going to get killed there if we don't do that. But that stop sign, I could see what they're going to do is they're going to go from parking by the wall to now they're all going to wrap around and go up Patuxent Terrace.
I can't predict what they're going
No,
to do,
no,
but we'll have
but
to
the
cross
idea
that
is
bridge when we
to
get there.
cut it off at the pass, get the person that's already parking on Patuxent Terrace and let them know that's an illegal parking to begin with.
There's more than one parking along that wall. I drive that road every day.
Oh, you talking about on the terrace or on Pulaski?
On Pulaski, along that wall.
Right, there's at least five cars.
There's about 5 on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And my main concern is the visibility of pulling out. That was my
Yes.
main concern, about that
Yes,
spot.
because of where the other stop sign is, people think they're free and clear, they're coming down, people are trying to come out of Patuxent, and there's been almost accidents, quite a few already.
And that's why we brought it to the
I
traffic
agree
committee.
with you.
Yeah.
My only question is to look further is you're still going to have 5 cars there. Not on that strip, but those 5 cars are going to be parking in that area.
Right,
So the
my
question
thing is they're gonna go onto Patuxent Terrace and block the stop sign area.
Well, either that or they're going to go down to Harley Street,
Right.
which is going to cause an issue. So, no, but it's not about school getting out. There's no school right now. I think it's.
department is supposed to be tagging vehicles,
But
Right,
the question.
that's what we need, we need a
Well,
police
yeah, but hang on. though.
vehicle to tag them right now.
What question is,
It's not
where,
illegal on Harley technically right now.
well, where are they going to park? If
Yeah.
you have 5 cars and you can't park here.
But is
they're not
that,
wanting
is
here,
that
they're
the
not wanting
town's
here.
problem, or is that the business's problem?
Well, first of all, to have the business, they need so many parking spots to begin with.
Right, and
So if
they
they're in
have
violation
inadequate
of the
parking.
zoning or planning codes,
I'm just
I
saying,
mean,
I'm just
that's
trying
not a
to,
problem for them to park there.
but it's gonna be a problem. It's going to be, because it's going to be,
Then deal with
it's
it.
good, this is gonna be my problem,
If
so
they-
I'm
if
trying to
they're parked-
prevent,
if they're parked-
it is.
Moving from one, across the
Sorry.
street to your
If
ward.
they're parked there for 8 hours during the time they're at work, and no police officers
Not
tagging them,
one, this is two
well, that
two
would-
residents
guess that-
called,
That would be an
and,
issue for the police department. Wouldn't
and
you
they're
agree,
very
Chief?
upset because nobody has
Okay.
shown up
And
to
I'm-
issue a ticket.
And do they have the plates to make sure that they're
I have a
employees?
picture of the car
Hold on. It's
with the
duly-
plates.
It's duly noted, the chief just took all the notes, and he will look
I
into it.
highly doubt that anyone called the police department and we failed to show. It could happen in extreme emergencies. I doubt that. We will look at it. I have it written down. I realize that people get upset, but I mean, there's street parking, there's ordinances. You have to be so far from signs, from hydrants, from corners. I have it noted. We will certainly check out the area.
Okay, it's a black car. If you want to see the pictures and the plates, I'll give it to you later.
Car means nothing to me. If it's
Okay.
if black, white, or green, if it's there, it's easy.
There every day.
It's gonna be mine.
Every day.
Thank
All
you,
right.
chief.
Thank you, chief.
Any other comment? Just state your name and address for the record.
Richard Hoole, Pike Street. While on the subject of stop signs, so back on February 14th, I contacted Councilman Licciardi. I also contacted the police station on Church Street. Pulling onto Church Street from Nestor Street, there's a corner house there.
Yeah.
They have 2 SUVs parked. You cannot pull onto Church Street on Nestor Street.
You were working on that, weren't you?
That's,
He did tell me he was working on it. Supposedly the police department also went out, and that car is still there. from where I called, and I just looked at my notes, February 14th.
Yeah,
My question is, if someone gets hit pulling out of that street, who's liable? You know, the chief just stated that there's ordinance that doesn't allow parking within so many feet of signs, of sidewalks, entrances, exits. Who's liable? That would be my thing. Because if it was me, I would think I could come after the town, being able to prove that I contacted. I checked my phone records and I checked my messages, and I do have proof of that.
You may have contacted the town before the town can put a stop sign in.
It's not a stop sign, it would just be a simple ticket. The
Yeah,
car,
that's-
the car.
I'm pretty sure that issue has been addressed by the
Yeah.
councilman with Major
Major
Levine
Levine.
and traffic, but I'm pretty sure that's a private property. It's not the portion that we own of the street that we're allowed to maintain. They are in front of their home. We've talked to them personally,
Yeah.
saying if you could do us a favor, try to put them here or there. But other than that, right now, we have no legality to write them tickets.
Right, and that's the answer
And
I
that-
got from Major Levine.
So even if they're parked on their property but obstructing a street, we still don't have any legality to do anything with that?
We looked at it, we'll look at it again, I'll double check it.
I just think it's
I know
dangerous.
the Major looked at
John,
it with them.
wouldn't that be the same, like even if it's on your property with the fences, that they can't obstruct the line of traffic, the flow of traffic?
You know, I
So
know the guy
that
has
could
tight
probably
parking over there,
fall
and I understand that, but it's
under
dangerous.
that, right, Al?
I don't think so.
Really?
I'm not positive, but I think the zoning ordinance is very specific as to fences, et cetera, and hedges that block visibility. I would have to check it, but I really seriously question whether a movable object would be able to prohibit it.
And I agree, but other than a tractor trailer or things that aren't allowed
Right.
by ordinance, but the regular car parking,
And
it's a tough, it's not.
what you're talking about, Richard, it is an issue, and you have to be very careful over there. You're coming out of a street, and you do have a vehicle, whether it's a Volkswagen or a big SUV, there's no driveway. So there's nowhere to park. So they're parking off-street, basically, I would say in the breakdown lane, if there is one, and on their lawn. So they're
Even if
trying.
we could get them to
They're
F
trying to get as
Street
close
versus
as possible.
Church.
But again, I mean, you're coming in, you're parking, how many times a day? You're not gonna be parking, there's no designated space to park. So Major Levine contacted them. I believe Major Knott had contacted them when he was in the traffic. I called him. It's not the answer that you wanna hear. And I can't give you the answer that you wanna hear. But it is being addressed, and I guess.
So it would be a zoning issue we have to fix, correct?
It's something we'd have to look into, but again, it's gonna be like the parking here at, against the wall at,
You've got three streets over there, which I believe are Machowski, Nestor, and School Street, that are very tiny, very narrow. Houses have been there since before this town was even a town. So if you're gonna remove all of the on-street parking from these homes, you can get ready for litigation, because they're all gonna sue you.
I'm not asking for no on-street
No,
parking.
just listen. If there's gonna be on-street parking, there's all sorts of issues. Councilman Padula brought up the issue, comparing it to the fence issue. You can't have everything. So if you're telling someone you can't have on-road parking, it'd have to be off-road parking. They don't have enough room over there. They've already been quote-unquote grandfathered in. Al, if I'm incorrect, let me know. As far as where they're parking, towards the corners, you're probably right, but there's only one problem. If there's not a police officer there 24 hours a day, how are they gonna say to these
All
guys
it's gonna
24
take
hours
is
a
one
day?
ticket, maybe two. I know after I paid my first ticket, or maybe my second, I would
Right.
back up just a little bit.
Right, and then after the third, fourth, or fifth time you parked there and there's no ticket, what are you gonna do?
What do you mean?
You're gonna go back to the same old habit that you had before.
And then we write another ticket, and then that's revenue for the town.
The point I'm trying to get at, sir,
Or we
you're
bill
saying
the
this.
zoning
I know,
board, and
you're
then
saying
we
this about
fix
3
the
streets?
zoning.
That could happen in 50 streets. John, we need, what, another 50 police officers to do this?
The
You
difference-
just don't have the time or the manpower.
It's not so much that.
But we should get
difference
some
is-
chiefs some more
No,
officers.
the difference is, as opposed to the Pulaski Street one, that could possibly be an illegal parking place. This location here, from what we saw so far, and we're still trying to look what we can, it's not under, we have no
It's
legal
legal.
right to write them.
They can park there.
So unfortunately, that's where we are, and we have approached, I mean, Councilman Licciardi's absolutely right, Major Not dealt with it. Major Levine dealt with it, I know this gentleman in front, and we get it too. I mean, unless there's some other way we can work, whether there's, legality to make an ordinance against that. But as you said, now, if it's good for one, it's good for us. So I mean, I don't know, I don't have the answer right now. I mean, I'll certainly look into it more with the majors. We have asked them, they do comply now and then, but then, I know they have nowhere else to talk to.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Thank you, Rich. I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes, yes.
Angelo?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Ordinance number 2018-21, first reading, sponsored by Council Vice President D'Amico, an ordinance amending Chapter 4, Animals and Fowl, Article 2, Animal Control, Section 4-35 and 4-36 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of West Warwick.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Moving second, discussion.
So this is just some updating of language? how you
Well,
wanted
what
to
happened was
explain?
what happened was the General Assembly passed an act regarding basically the sheltering of dogs. That act had an effect on the ordinance that we had in place. So basically what I did was I deleted our ordinance and I replaced it with the state statute that governs the town in any event. But our ordinance now is a duplicate of the state statute regarding the harboring and sheltering of dogs.
Any questions for Al? Hearing none, roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Angelo?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Can I ask a question back on letter N? Or am I too late? We just approved the first reading regarding the stop signs.
Save the question for next meeting. So the first reading.
Right,
It's not
right.
passed.
No, I know that, but I still have a question on it. Can I ask it now, or should I wait?
Just for the public comment.
All right.
Discussion action, clothing bin, sponsored by Councilman Messier.
Jay?
Ally,
Aye.
a new addition to our weekly clothing bin conversation.
Fortunately, Dave, when you introduced me to Don, he has been a tremendous amount of help in putting together this proposal for clothing bins. The first thing that I submitted all of the documentation to the council in the form that I would eventually present to you by way of ordinances. The first thing that I submit the council has to do is, as of now, our ordinance does not allow these recycling bins. So the first item that would come before you, and it has to go before the planning board first for a recommendation, is to prohibit recycling bins in all zones except the business zone. I think that, keep them out of residence, keep them out of the business park, and allow them in the business zone. Again, I know the council wants to be business friendly, and working with Don was extremely helpful. He didn't have any problems with that. As a matter of fact, he sent me an email suggesting that we also look into preventing them from being put in any apartment house complexes. He said, because that's where you usually get the conditions that Councilman Messier is trying to correct happens. This ordinance takes care of that because multifamily dwellings are not permitted in business zones. The second thing that came up is the ordinance that or the draft of an ordinance that I have submitted to you, that if you pass the first step, you go on to the second step. This is the regulations that would govern how they handle. They'd have to go in, they have to get a permit. I prepared a form for the application for the clerk's office to use. I've prepared a form for the permit to be issued. once they get that permit would then be actually placed on the recycling bin itself, so that if there is a recycling bin there that does not have a permit on it, I prepared a provision so that the owner, and again, I know Angelo's always concerned about the taxpayer, but the only way, and according to Don, as he's presented to you a couple of weeks ago, a lot of these bins are owned by out-of-staters. So when we say you've got to get them off, they could care less. So we have to bring the owner into the project. And so if there is a bin on the property that has not been permitted, then the building official goes through a certain process, and I presented to the council that eventually the town, if need be, could remove that bin and resell it, and any cost that the town incurs go to the owner and to the property owner.
Al, can we get a fee per bin?
Yes,
Actually,
I'm coming to that.
Well, before you go any further, I want to just introduce something to the council that I had a brief conversation with Don after that meeting about 2 weeks ago. And I told him I'd get back to him over the next couple of weeks when I bring it up before the
For those that
council.
don't know who Don is, he owns the pink.
Don Mariani, he's the gentleman that was here last time. He's worked
He
well
owns
with
a
Al,
number of
like he
these
said.
things.
Don has thrown a very particular, a very unique idea out to me, and I want to bring it before the council and then probably sit down with him to discuss this. And if we want to delve into the recycling business as a community. He says other communities are starting to do this, is they're buying their own bins or whatever it may be, and it's for the town of West Warwick. He has offered to possibly donate 12 bins to the town of West Warwick, and the town of West Warwick would get all revenues, and they would maintain in the bins, and possibly hire a group, or his company, or some other company, whoever it may be, and maintain them, and all revenues go to the town of West Warwick.
So what's in it for him?
Well, that's what we need to discuss. I'm sure there's some, no, I'm not, listen, but he threw out the number of about $350,000 of new revenue for the town. And so I think I'd like to sit down, before we go any further with ordinances or anything like that, and sit down with that individual and possibly look at what we could do as a town. And let's face it, it's.
I don't think what you're suggesting and what is here are contradictory.
Well, that's why I'm saying, I don't want, maybe we don't go further on clothing bins and have you work on an ordinance that may change. We may say, we're exclusive, West Warwick has their own bins, nobody else
Can
is
we
allowed.
legally have an exclusive contract with a clothing
No,
bin?
well, you got three different issues on the table right now. He's putting together ordinances as it relates to this issue, if in fact the town of West Warwick's not involved at all. Secondly, if the town of West Warwick is gonna be involved, you don't know whether or not you're gonna have an exclusive right to do it, which means there might be other nonprofits or for-profit corporations that are gonna be able to take part in this industry. And the third part would be whether or not, if you try to take this over from private industry, what type of potential litigation might there be?
Well, there's always,
But
you know,
my suggestion would be let Al continue on with what he's doing, because if in fact the proposal by Don Mariani doesn't meet to the town's
That's what
satisfaction,
I'm saying, and
there's no harm in him going forward.
I
You
think
don't
the
have to-
town could put
anything.
in an ordinance that says, if you're a commercial person, or you're not the town, and you wanna put a bin in, these are the rules you gotta follow. Next month, the town decides we wanna get in. I personally, and without having done any research, would think we would run into litigation if we said, hey, you commercial people, you can't come into this town because we're doing it all ourselves.
well, we could
Can
also
I ask
feed the
this
bins
question?
like Councilman Padula just said.
What?
So, I mean, bin fees, but
Well,
again.
that's in here.
But this is something, so let me just ask the council, is this something that you wouldn't mind sitting down, talking to an individual that runs what he can do for the town?
Let's hear what he has to
It's
say.
thinking outside
I
the
don't
box.
wanna-
I mean, if he can get us $300,000 of new revenue, I don't know, that's not a bad deal.
I agree with that. I just feel that the council could go forward with this without worrying about that. And, and then to get to Angelo's comments, I have submitted to the council, and this just would be a resolution, that if the council passes the zoning ordinance, passes the recycling ordinance, I've submitted to you, and right now it says recycling container permit, original permit, I got question marks per month, and then renewal permit, question marks, to do the same thing, so that, and I talked with Paula, so that she says September 1 would be a good date. So if I came in on June, I would have to pay June, July, August, a month, and then on September, I would pay an annual fee for the next month. And in what I submitted to you, I just put quotation marks, question marks, because the amount that the council wanted to charge per bin, that's your business, not mine.
How about for right now? Did you have another pickup recently for the mess? Was there another mess there recently? So, are we able to get reimbursed for the times we've went out there and cleaned this up on our own? Because that's what I'm worried about, especially the $1,000 we spent a month and a half ago. Are we able to get that money back, or however much time we used the other day when it was our guys that did it, right?
What I provided in here was a 48-hour notice, and they would go to then they could be brought, if they don't get rid of it, they could be brought to the municipal court, and a fine in the amount of, again, I put a blank in, because that's your business. Then the second time, it goes out, another blank in it, and then the third time is when they could go out upon failure to remove it, and it says that the owner and the operator shall be jointly and severally liable for any cost incurred by the town of West Warwick as a result of the failure to properly maintain and service a recycling container. So yes, if the town, I put that in there, so that in addition to the fines before the municipal court, if the town has to spend some money, I got a provision in there.
We can't do that now, though?
Why can't we do it right now?
Because I don't think if.
All right, so for example, all right, we have, I'm gonna use the one on
I would-
117.
I would think that would have to come in. What the building official would have to do, it's just like when we go out and cut the grass.
People dump trash on their, if there's trash dumped on their front lawn, and they're moving, say, and there's one, I don't wanna name the address, but there's one already right now, and the building official has gone out, and they start the process. The one we have at the corner of Revere and 117, it's on somebody's property. So, to me, there must be some type of either verbal or written agreement for somebody to put a bin on your property. So if that owner says, no, I don't want it anymore, and these people refuse to move it, that's between him and the people. Why can't we remove it as trash?
As a bin?
A bin.
Well, a bin is not trash.
Well,
to
me it is. Right now, to me it is.
If you've
because
got
there's all trash around it.
If you've got the mess around it, that would be just like a yard where the grass was growing. And we've tried to get it cut, and we send the building official, send somebody in to maintain the property. We then gotta go to municipal court, and we bring an action in municipal court, and we ask to be reimbursed for our cost. And the municipal court can impose that as part of
So
the
what does
penalty.
that owner do?
In that situation, what would happen is if we had to go out and clean the trash around the bin, we would then bring the owner in to municipal court, because we went on his property, we would notify him, clean up your property.
Okay.
When he says it's not mine, it's theirs, we don't care. It's your property, you get it clean. If we gotta come in and do it, we're bringing it in municipal court.
But what does that owner do now with that bin on his property that no longer wants it? And
That's
the,
his
and the
problem.
And the company refuses to take it.
That's
Can
his-
that owner,
That's all on him.
That's his
Because you don't-
problem.
We don't know what the arrangement was, we don't know if the arrangement
And-
still exists, so
and
that's
under-
between him. And let's just say the bin was dumped there illegally, it's still his responsibility, because it's his
So-
property.
And under this
Let me
ordinance,
interject here for a second.
Which means all you gotta do is put him on.
Now,
notice.
correct me if I'm wrong, when we go
All right.
out to somebody's property and clean it up, for instance, cutting their grass or whatever, that we put a lien on that property.
Yes.
So if we're going out and cleaning up these bins, and it's a vacant store, we should be liening that property.
yeah.
It's plain and simple.
in-
If we're
in-
spending the money to go out and clean it up, lien the property. It goes through the building official's office, because that's who we call. DPW's now going down, or whoever's doing the cleanup. And that needs to be resolved through the building official's office. Minimum housing, put a lien on, and then it gets filed.
And
That
Jason,
lien will
and-
stay there until the building's either sold or reoccupied.
So if we have an issue now, before this point, do we need to call the minimum housing and building before we call DPW to clean it up then?
No, DPW can work hand in hand with
No, but you-
municipal.
Guys, you have to put the owner of the property on notice. He gets the first chance to clean it up.
Through a minimum house?
Through minimum housing. If he doesn't clean it up, send the DPW in there, there's gonna be a bill submitted.
Let's do that next time at least, so then somebody's
But
held
in-
responsible
in
for it.
answer to your question
Yes.
about the bin
I don't know what's so
itself,
difficult.
under the ordinance I'm presenting to you, it says that if that bin doesn't get the official permit from the town clerk's office, and the town has to go in and remove it, not only can the town remove it, we can sell it, and we have the right to dispose of it, so we can sell it, and then anything that is still left, we charge them. But you
Sell it
can't
to a
do it
different
with,
community
you
though.
can't do it without this
Get it out of
ordinance.
here.
All right.
All right,
All right,
thank you,
let's
Al.
move
All right,
on.
any other questions about clothing bins for now?
Close it out.
Thank
Should
you.
I, should I put this stuff all in formal, matter for the, and I will ask the council in my covering information to give me the fines and the fees.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Signs regarding panhandling, sponsored by Council President Goslin.
Again, I sent over a sign to the council and asked for this to be on the agenda. I have a picture of it. I know it's on here, but it's, for some reason, it's very blurry. So, we have, you know, we came before us about a year ago about panhandling, and I'm going through, and it seems like it's eased up a little bit in West Warwick. We still have a couple of problem areas, and I'll use New London Avenue as probably one of the key areas there on the rocks across the street.
It's one of the only spots that.
It's the only spot.
No, there's, on occasion,
Occasionally near rocks, but that's
on
basically.
occasion, but if you look at the street sign itself, it does not, AC, so what happened was I saw the street sign, I seen it there, I actually seen and I was at a ball field over there, and I seen a town employee there that was working, and I spoke to him about the sign right outside the park. And he said, yes, this was a way around, it doesn't discriminate against panhandling, but it strongly advises not to do it or not support it. In other words, it's a sign basically, and let me just get it real quick. Do you have it in color? And I'll just read it outright. If I can find it.
I'll read it for you. It says panhandling, and it has a no sign with a guy holding a sign. And it says, don't contribute to the problem, consider giving to a local charity that helps the homeless instead. And then it has like the phone numbers of, it looks like different organizations in the area that can assist people.
So again, it's not, it was a way around from the ACLU. And Al, I know you were looking into all these things. Like I said, I know it's ramping down, but I don't think it's a bad idea if we purchase a couple of these signs and put them up in those problem areas.
In addition to the sign that you saw, a number of communities where I live in Florida, they use the sign as, it's just a black sign that, on a white background, it says, quote, due to public safety concerns, panhandling is discouraged. Please donate to local charitable organizations. And that's a frequent sign you see there. I talked with the city solicitor in the city of Orlando, because they used to have what they called the blue boxes, where on a street corner, they would put a blue square, and the panhandlers had to operate out of there. In general, I talked with the attorneys that represented the city of Cranston, and initially I was under the impression that if we did it and made it all people, and I'll say like firemen collecting, if we did it across the board, it'd be okay. But when I discussed it with Mark DeSisto, the way the federal court ruled, you can't do it. So if we're going to do anything, David, I would suggest a resolution creating signs with whatever the signs are that
Well,
you want to say?
I'm gonna probably send this to Freddie. I'd like to get a price on these signs and get a couple, possibly get a couple council approval and install them.
I don't think you should install them without a resolution.
Well, and again, when you read the sign, it says, make sure you give to a charity to help in like Christmases, boom, collections and all that. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
So it stays away from
Yeah.
true panhandling to,
Yeah.
you know, and again, we're protected. So, I mean, we need to put that resolution together
Yeah,
and let's get this going.
if somebody gives me whatever language you want to use, I'll put it in a resolution form.
All right. Any questions on that?
I mean, and we wouldn't, I mean, really, that's that one area, so it would probably be a couple of signs.
That's what I'm saying.
Two,
We'll test them
maybe
out.
2 signs, yeah.
Tom, is this about the signs?
Yes, it is.
I'm a very charitable person, and I think this is a great thing. You know, the plight of the homeless is tough. Than the poor people. I do feel bad for them, but this is a great thing. However, last fall, I had requested or spoken on public comment, and I showed a sign that the state has all over the place, and it talks about littering with the fines of $85 to $1,000. And I was talking, maybe we could put these in some of the hot spots of dumping in this town, such as Pulaski Street, in our neighborhood where we are. That's a horrible area. Flat Top is another pigsty, and I'm sure Angelo has problem areas in his ward, as do what. I think John probably has the least amount of problems. But
I don't
when
have
I
them in
mentioned
one.
that, when I mentioned it, it was said we couldn't afford to buy a sign. That was last fall. We couldn't afford to buy that sign to put up in the hot spots.
Tom, we
of
have
town.
no littering signs already somewhere in county DPW, so.
Oh, then, you know, there's signs that we
I
could,
can put 50 signs up over on Pulaski Street. If you're that ignorant to dump that much trash over there, you're gonna be ignorant to that sign.
and
saying.
if you're gonna be ignorant, to stop and give money
They
to
gotta
a
get caught.
panhandler.
They gotta get caught.
I understand that. I call the police department all the time, and John's guys are there within minutes. And they, you know, we had a problem at Flat Top. A guy had an unregistered truck with no license plates, and he was right there.
Tom-
But the police do help out an awful lot.
The
They're
reason
always
why,
there.
The reason why I brought this one up, no dumping signs will not be challenged by the ACLU. No panhandling signs will be challenged by the ACLU.
This
So-
wouldn't be challenged by the
This
ACLU?
cannot be challenged. You're only telling the drivers and people not to participate in it. You're not saying no panhandling. You're saying don't participate. There's no fine associated with it, it's just telling them, please don't contribute to the problem.
I agree, but you think the ACLU would bark if we
Signs
put
have
up a
been
no?
there for 4 years and never been challenged in
No,
Massachusetts.
that I understand, but you think the ACLU, if we put up a sign that said $1,000 fine for dumping, the ACLU would have a
is not
problem with
gonna-
that?
They're not gonna bicker about that whatsoever.
Well, I
It's
just,
a totally
you know.
different scenario.
Yeah, but
apples
we
and
couldn't
oranges.
afford that sign. That's my question. I mean, the sign's a great thing, but I just find it odd that we could not
Tom,
afford the
I said I
dumping
would like
sign.
to get a price and approval from the council. That's all. I
Perfect,
said.
thank you.
Thank you.
Department head report sponsored by Councilman Licciardi.
Excuse me. The reason why I put this on here is because we always have the four, not that any department is more or less important than the other, but police are here, fire here, finance is here, and DPW here, 9 out of 10 times. And we typically give ward reports. There's always something going on. I'm thinking, I'm not looking for a novel, I'm just putting out there for discussion, that if for argument's sake, we have, just say, 8 so we have 8 departments in town. Split them up 4 and 4. They each give like a ward report type. 4 would give on the first meeting of the month. The next 4 would give on the third meeting of the month. It really gives you a time to showcase the department, what you've done, possibly what you're intending to do. I'm going to use DPW for example because that's the easiest one. But it could be we are going to be paving these 3 roads in the next month. We've already paid these 5. The street sweeper will be coming out to these 3 roads the next month. We've already gone these 3 roads. So things like that. Again, this could take, all in all, 15 total minutes of a council meeting. So I don't know if you guys are for it or not.
I would be for that. I think that
I would too.
anything we can do to improve communication, there's a lot of things that, we're, as councilmen, we're grabbing at all these little pieces of information. A lot of times we're in the dark. But I do like the idea too that this could be a spotlight.
Yeah.
DPW works extremely hard. I was talking to Freddie earlier this week. The number of different things that they're juggling at this point, and they're working hard to get these things accomplished. And a lot of times, the only things that gets highlighted are the things that are not getting done when people want them done because nobody's patient. So this would be their opportunity to get up and say, look, this is what we did. These are the things that we accomplished. But also to give us a better understanding of the things that are happening in an open forum.
Right. I mean, people call us on a regular
Because
basis
I know-
looking for information, and we don't have it all. And it's not to discredit anybody. I mean, and they're not. And sometimes we get called on very strange things that we would not have the answer. I feel we wouldn't have the answers to. It's not really our forte, but the information is power, and the more information we have, the less calls we have to make to you guys as department heads or the town manager during the course of a week and take up your time.
And I know that we say that we have most of our questions at DPW, police, fire, but I think we get just as many for minimum housing and building. I mean, I'd probably get maybe some of the most. I don't know if they're required to be here, but I think it would be beneficial if minimum housing and building were here for the meetings.
I agree. I think all the department heads should be here at a council meeting.
With an exception,
I've said it
with an
before. I
exception
don't
if
think
there's
there's
some
any
reason they can't.
exceptions.
But I think 9 times out of 10, I think you said they should be here. Whether they're required to, I think it's beneficial for them to be here.
Again, the departments that were mentioned that are here, police, fire, public works, and finance, when you look at those departments, those are the largest departments, budget-wise, staff-wise. Probably the vast majority of our budget is controlled by those individuals. Vast majority of employees are covered by those individuals. So clearly, I think they're here for reasons of getting in, seeing what goes on, being able to respond to issues. But then you have departments such as, again, the tax assessor, planner, community development, the tax collector, different departments that really don't have that type of overall responsibility for those resources. So, why would they come? Just to be here in case something happens or a question may come up. Building official, clearly there's a lot going on in that department. There's a lot of projects going on. It also covers minimum housing. Those are issues, but you're not going to be talking about, I would think, specific issues at that type of a meeting.
One of the things I'm thinking, Ernie, is if we have, just use the number 8, 4 week 1, 4 week 3. For example, the planning department. If there's nothing to report, that's up to you to say, Mr. Carullo, you're scheduled to be on the council meeting agenda for tonight. If there's nothing to report, you don't need to come. That would be up to you, but at least give him the opportunity. Give that the opportunity.
I agree. I think they all should be addressing the council, because if I have a problem with minimum housing or building or the tax assessor, I got a couple of calls. Why did they take it into their own hands to raise up their tangibles when they didn't call them? Example. So they could be here addressing that.
Yeah, but-
Why would the building, what's going on in this building project right here? What's going on with the planning department? Is there other condos getting built? Is there things talked about? So there's a million things that we could bring up to them that we don't have that novelty to bring it up to them because they're not here. So I agree, they should be here.
Councilman, I agree that they should come, maybe give a report, but for situations like that, I don't think we should be land-basing them in public.
Well, we was talking about
Like,
land
if you're
bases.
sitting here saying, well, why'd you raise the tangible taxes on so-and-so?
Why not? He's gotta give answers to the taxpayers. That's what he's there for. He works for them.
But again, Angela, that's one situation. If somebody came to you.
I use that as an example.
I'm just throwing
So
out, I'm talking to you just like,
listen.
I'm saying, as far as.
They work for the taxpayers have the right, how many times do the taxpayers see the tax assessor, the building official, the minimum housing, finance, whatever it may be? They're here now at a council meeting, and the answers that the questions that they have, they should be able to answer. And it's not to lambaste anybody. It's to be the servant that they are to the taxpayers of this town, which everybody forgets. We work for them. They don't work for us. Any department head works for them, whether they live in town or not. They work for these people directly. And that's all I got to say. If you guys want to vote it down, that's fine. Things will change, but for now, I think they should be here. My own personal opinion. You got 4 other people to vote.
I think everybody agrees that they should be here. Just
Well, then,
what-
there's no
what-
argument. Let them be here. We all want them. Nobody's gonna embarrass them. What's there to embarrass? If I wanna embarrass them, I'll call them up personally. I have no problem with that.
Mr. Manager, you look kind of concerned.
Well, again, where will it stop and where will it end?
Doesn't
If
matter,
there's gonna
whatever the
be-
council wants.
No, but if there's going to be issues that are coming up of specific issues of something going on, whether it be a zoning violation, whatever it may be, minimum housing, why haven't you done that? Well, maybe there are reasons for that, but do you want that at public meetings? And how long are these going to go? Is this going to be available for public to come up and ask questions of department heads or criticize? I think it could be a situation where it's basically becomes a bashing of departments. I don't think that's what you're
That's not my,
intending.
no, that's not my intent at
But I
all.
can see
No.
that happening
No.
very easily.
I tried to,
I could see somebody coming in here and shooting us. It's not gonna happen.
I tried
Thank
doing
God,
this.
I hope not.
I tried doing this 6 months ago. I tried doing this, and Freddie will remember this. And I tried to have reports, but some meetings there aren't really always reports for the different departments. But we tried doing this. I still think
And that's fine, though.
Yeah, you know,
That's fine.
yeah.
But at least put that opportunity there.
I'll use the building official's office. Every month, PM sends us a report.
Yeah,
I don't
Under
have, so
revenues.
I'm not expecting the building official to come in here and tell me about a report that he sent me. Because PM sends that faithfully every month, usually the first week of the month, second week of the month. It comes into you and we get to read the complaints and whatever else. So I'm a little tossed up here because a lot of it could be sent over email. Like for instance, we have 10 permits that were applied for as far as new construction or whatever. I don't mind seeing that in an email, but to come here and take, and I understand what you're gonna say, Angelo, they report to the taxpayers, but they're gonna come here and say, okay, I got 10 permits coming, and then it could get into an all-night situation because Anna wants to know about this permit, he wants to know about that permit, he wants to know about that permit. So everybody's coming up and start talking. Here we are.
They have
almost
every
9
right to,
o'clock.
but I mean, you gotta limit it. I mean, you gotta take control of the meetings. You limit them, ask a question, get an answer, and move on. I mean, we can go on all night, what's the pros and cons of this? Why don't you just take a poll on how the council feels, and if it's 3-2 against, or 3-2 for, we end it.
Everybody just said.
Well,
they
then
wanna
why
see
we
it.
keep talking about it? Let's do it. Do it or don't do it. It doesn't matter. I say do it.
May I make a comment?
Al?
I have a very strong concern. I got a couple of emails today from the building office. Those emails are involving some litigation. If one of those people contacts the councilman, and the councilman innocently brings that up at the meeting, asking the building official about it, that could jeopardize, be an improper matter that I've got pending before the municipal court. Secondly, the town manager brought up zoning. Same thing as zoning or planning. Same thing could happen in that situation. Mark and I are discussing a matter and just making an example, that there's some legal ramifications, that Mark has called me for an opinion that I'm working on, and then all of a sudden Mark is standing before you because some constituent wants to know what's going on with it. So I am very, very concerned that the council, in all innocence, could ask questions that put that town employee, the town department head, in a real ticklish spot.
First
And
of all-
I don't mean this the way it's gonna sound, but that town department head may not realize that they're creating a mess for
But
a
this is
municipal
bringing up
court.
another point. I agree with you 100%. But the council should be informed on what is litigation and what isn't. We're the last to know. I don't know half of the litigation that's going on, and neither does anyone up here,
And so
which is bullshit.
And from my perspective, I'm only talking about litigation in the municipal court, which is, you know, a building of, so that's the only area I'm talking about. I don't know about the district and Superior Court.
If it's
I
a
just-
litigation case, bring it up. It's litigation. If the council knows about it, sorry, we can't answer you. It's under litigation. We can talk about other things, but it's being resolved.
It's pretty simple, though. We don't really even have to vote. If Councilman Licciardi puts on the agenda, building official report next meeting, then the building official would expect it to be here, right? I mean, so it's not even something we have to vote on, I would think, correct?
But, you know, I
If you're gonna do a
think we
report,
have
you
to
gotta do a
clearly,
schedule.
we have to like have
Yeah.
some sort of, something clearly defined as far as like parameters or expectations of these reports. I mean, I wouldn't take any action tonight. This is just discussion, right? But I like the idea of reports so that we have more
Anything that it-
information provided to us.
Anything that informs us and the community, I think, is a good thing. That's the way I look at it.
The question is, what would you actually put in these reports?
Right, I mean, if you're looking for departmental activity, let's say the fire department, how many runs did they make? Have there been any active fires for the past month? You know, statistics, information like that, I mean, that can be provided to the council. That's, you know, certainly not a problem. You know, just information like that, you know, clearly can be supplied to the council. If there's some project that's going on, that could be, you know, provided to the council information purposes. So if the purpose is information, I mean, you know, reports can be generated with the various type of activity that departments do. I mean, some you know, may be not very exciting and may be routine, and you know, may be the same type of report every month for activity goes. But again, you know, we can provide various levels of, you know, information as to what activities are. You know, like they can be statistically driven, just like was mentioned for the building permit fees. The fees that are coming every month, you see how much is coming in. There could be reports generated as to different activities, you know, permits taken out, violations issued, things of that nature. So that type of information is certainly, you know, can be provided. Again, I would hate to see a situation where, again, you get department heads that are being questioned and going beyond that to being, you know, maybe attacked, and that certainly is not going to be productive for anyone.
You know what, Ernie, nobody's talking about attacking a department head. I don't even know why it went down that route. That's up to us to stop them from attacking it, and you get order at the meeting. So I don't know what the big deal is. The department head should be here for this council and for the citizens of this town, period. Whether you agree with it or not, this is a council decision.
Correct.
We take your recommendation under advisement. So it's in our hands.
Any other comment from the council? State your name.
Hannah Spodnik, Carpenter
This thing
Court.
turned out to be a half an hour.
What about requiring these department heads to come here at least once a month and do something that people that I know have been asking about, is give an update on how they're doing on their portion of the budget? Because when it boils down to it, everybody wants to know ahead of time what kind of deficit we're going to be looking at the end of the next fiscal year. And they feel that the problem is that nobody has accountability. Nobody on a monthly basis comes here and says, okay, right now, this department is behind or below budget, we're doing great.
That's the finance director. She reports that to us.
If your department heads are doing it, do your department heads, are they not aware of their own budgets? Maybe that's a problem.
I think they meet weekly, Anna, and you can ask the town manager. He has weekly staff meetings. He goes over these things in his staff meetings, and Kristen does bring that stuff before us.
Right, the budget report that she provides is inclusive of every department. It's broken
Right.
down as to the percentage, how much is spent. So there is a clear picture as to what the expenses are and trends as well as projections.
Honestly,
basis?
from the people, as I've been walking around this town and talking to people, they want to see a face that goes with the department. They want to see that that face with that department knows what they're doing as far as what they're spending. And that's a reasonable request by a taxpayer. We don't have to sit here and ask how many fire runs they did on any given basis. If there's specific events, I'm sure people will ask about it. But I think the main thing is people want to see that there's accountability by department, not by one person, because it makes a difference. If I'm looking at you and you're telling me all the other departments are doing this such and such, but you're not getting that person that's actually doing it, and Joe Public wants to see the individuals. It's human nature. It's just human nature. It's not to bring people here to annihilate them. You need to rebuild confidence in this town, and if people don't have confidence in their department heads that are running this town, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So have them show up once a month. Let people see that there's humans behind the numbers on the budget. It can't hurt. It really can't hurt.
All right, what are we doing?
Richard Booth, Mike Street, I'll be quick. The manager reports that he can generate reports to the council. I'm concerned on why the council isn't already getting them reports. Wouldn't we be able to stop? He stated that he can have reports generated in place of the department heads. So my question is, the department heads don't already submit reports to the council? Wouldn't we be able to stop some of the...
It all depends on what department you're talking about. Building official...
All departments, every department we have.
So building official sends us a report every month.
Mhm.
Finance sends us a report. In fact, it's usually on the agenda. Sends us a report every month. Tax assessor, I get 0 reports. Okay? Clerks, we get a report about revenue or whatever every couple of months. Going down, tax collector, very informative, sends us reports all the time. We get plenty of reports every single
But not from every department.
I don't get, like, if the chief wants to send us a report saying how many runs, he usually does that during budget time or whatever. But I don't expect the chief to tell me how many ambulance runs, how many fire runs.
I'd be more interested in the dollars. So we could stop some of the overspending, versus the council finding out 6 months down the road that we are now in the red. Maybe if we found out month 1, we would be able to stop it. The easiest way to address Angelo's concern, just transparency. The more you know, the more we know. The more we know,
My
the
intent
better
with
it all works.
my intent with this is to compare it to what we get from the sewer plant every month, which would be
I'm surprised the council doesn't get reports.
which would
every
be a
month.
number to say. It's very short and sweet, and it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just, Bernie's up here for what?
Transparency.
10 minutes.
It's the
10
easiest
minutes.
way.
So that's all I was asking for. I didn't mean to turn this into a huge debate.
No, but it's a good point. I just think transparency, and and if the fire chief added runs in there, you know what, for the next budget, you could say, well, hey, we did X amount of runs, and it may explain some of the overtime. It may explain some of the costs that we're using in fuel consumption. I think the more information the council has, the better informative you can be on making decisions. Because we're making decisions without 100% of the information, and that scares me. That scares me.
I just want to clarify one thing so everyone understands that, again, there are monthly reports. They're very detailed monthly reports that are provided to the council as well as it's on our website, on our agendas for the monthly reports. So it's done on a regular basis. It's very detailed. And I don't want to leave an impression that somehow financial information is not available or given to the council or public. It is available, it's there, and it is monitored not only every month, it's monitored every day by the finance director as far as the finances go.
So when the finance director gives us a report, she highlights the positives and negatives, and she tells you, and then we ask those questions at that time. It's not like, especially this finance director and Ernie, they've been keeping us very well informed on what's going on with the budget. He just brought up earlier in the budget for last year, we're going to end up in the black, and we're going to be able to reinstate some things.
Well, that's a false statement because we're still not paying everything that we're supposed to be paying. So currently
Everything's
on
paid.
paper.
Half a million
Our
out of
debt
OPEB.
services went down, we're still,
stop.
you
But
know,
again,
that's different. I
We
just,
may be able to.
I just was looking for transparency. I think that was the easiest way to sum it up. We don't want to be here all night discussing this. I think it was a good idea. The more information the council has,
Okay,
the more information we have.
yeah, I can't let a statement go that may be misunderstood or not correct. The town does pay its bills, its obligations.
The
The
debt services
pensions,
went
the
down this
pension is funded at the actuarial required rate from the actuary, so that's being funded. So we are paying those items that
not
we
paying
need to pay. OPEB, first of all, OPEB is not a required item to pay.
We're still not paying it, we're obligated to pay it, $500,000, so I don't wanna hear we're gonna be in a black, we're 8 million in the hole.
There
We
you
are
go.
not 8 million.
No, okay. I'm not getting into it.
So if you were monitoring the Civic Center budget, why was it a surprise when it was
Yeah.
suddenly in a deficit?
Listen, I'm not getting into a budget, because it's gonna set me off, and the truth's gonna come out. So, let's move on, all we wanna do is see the department heads here, so what's your pleasure?
We all agreed upon.
So they shall be
You're
here.
gonna set a schedule. That's about it.
Okay. Let's move on.
Upcoming appointments, sewer use tax board of review, West Warwick Public Library of Trustees, Board of Tenant Affairs, zoning board of review, and public comment. Anything from the council?
I do. I'll keep it brief. Since we don't have a ward report, there are three roads that are being redone in Ward 4. Edge Street, using road bond money. Nestor Street and School Street, using CDBG money. And these streets are currently dug up and they'll be repaved shortly. I've had a few calls over the past week regarding Pulaski Street. And it seems like that it's a hot button over there. And we just identified another one with parking tonight. There's a lot happening over there. We did have a fire. Building was burnt down. Most of the building was burnt down. There is a new tenant that owns that building, the new owner who owns that building, and last night they took the rest of it down. So that's a good thing. I've been in touch with the building official's office, mostly with the clerk, with a ton of issues in the past week. She's been very cooperative in helping me in her efforts to help my efforts in cleaning that up. There are some safety issues over there. Things are getting done. They may be slower than people would like, but they are being worked on and progress is being made. And I have one more request from the council. This came to me after the agenda had been put out, so I'm going to use it as public comment. Last year, we gave $100 to the West Warwick Steelers golf tournament. Their tournament is coming up again, and due to the fact we have one meeting a month, I'd like to know if the council would be willing to donate another $100 this year to their golf tournament. It gives a T-sign with our council picture on it, and it just supports their organization, which is very expensive to run.
So what we could do is kind of approve that here tonight, but put it on the next agenda so they can get the process rolling.
Okay.
So I don't have a problem with it, we've done it before.
And I have one more request before we leave. We are meeting August 7th. Would the council entertain pushing that meeting to the 14th?
I won't be here.
Okay. So no? All right.
I won't be here, so if you guys want to do it, I will not be here the 14th.
I'm not sure.
And the only reason I'm saying that is we're only meeting once a month. I know this
Well, if
meeting
you-
was a long
listen,
meeting,
What?
but
What about the 21st?
I
Why
won't
can't
be,
we go later?
hold on, there's been advertised matters already, including Labor Day festivities.
Okay.
So it has to
Alright.
be the 7th, but if you want to have a second meeting in August,
no.
I don't have a problem with it. You just gotta properly
Yeah.
post it, and if you guys want to meet the third week of August, the reason why we end up with one meeting is, Councilman Padula can attest, the last 10 years, 12 years, the July and August agendas were light, and we determined that we take a little break from being in here. We're not constantly here, we're constantly dealing with issues.
but it gives us a little bit of our summer back. 2 nights, basically, is what it gives us. But if you guys want to have a second meeting,
I don't think there's any need for it
I'd rather do
unless
just
something
one.
comes up.
You know, and that's the thing. I don't want everybody to think I wanted one meeting. It's the entire council that discussed this and wanted one meeting for July and one meeting for August. And it's been going on prior to you, prior to us. July and August has been one meeting. Because those have been the latest months. Even December we tried to cut back, but we still end up with 2.
Can I make some quick comments?
John?
All right, I just wanted to go through a few things that are happening in Ward 5 again, because we didn't have the ward report. Just to comment, people have been calling and emailing and asking questions. First of all, there is a section on Greenbush Road that is faded as far as the lines that go down the middle. I've checked with DPW, and those will be repainted shortly. A lot of people are still asking about the street sweeper. Again, Ward 5 is last this year. We should be seeing the street sweeper soon, but it has not been through yet, so there is still sand there. Please be patient. The stop sign at the corner of East Greenwich Ave and Greenbush, people are asking, what the heck's going on with that thing? It's a mess. Somebody obviously hit it. It will be taken care of shortly. Juniper, a lot of people are using it as a cut-through, similar to what's taking place on Campbell Street, actually, quite often. If people could just slow down, it would be appreciated. And the last thing is on Crossbow, there has been some activity. A number of people have reached out to me regarding the surveyor who was back there. I just want to let people know that as I receive any information, I will certainly relate that. That's all I have.
Thank you. And ward reports will be on the next agenda. Any other public comment from the council? Tom?
Tom Oates, Colonial Way. I'd like to draw your attention to the Town of West Warwick fiscal year 2018-2019 budget, page 13. Under description, it says administrative expenses. What is administrative expenses? I'm not a big budget person.
Mr. Manager? Here it is if you want to look at it.
Okay, this is legal department. The legal administrative expenses, that is for the town solicitors, payments for his monthly retainer and the litigation portion that's above the retainer, for the most part. There may be maybe an occasion where another attorney may be hired out of that if a special counsel is needed. But I would say that the bulk of that is under the town solicitor's receipts for the services provided to the town.
Thank you. That makes sense of some of this. So that is, if we look at the recent internet posts that post what this town has paid the solicitor in the last 5 or 6 years, 2015 on that sheet is $136,015. That's exactly what the solicitor was paid in fiscal year 2015. However, if you go to let me see, if we go to fiscal year 2016, there's a discrepancy of $21,385.45. In fiscal year 2017, there's a discrepancy of $56,142.50. That I can't understand. If we look at what the solicitor's been paid versus this budget report, the numbers just don't add up. And further, let's see, we're in the 11th business day of this fiscal year of 2018. And according to this page, the town of West Warwick has already paid $90,580.25 to the solicitor for legal services to date. That is an average in 11 days, $8,234.57 a day. At this rate, at this rate, according to this payment, we're going to be into our solicitor's pay for $1,737,494.27. I don't understand where we come up with a payment in this fiscal year on this fiscal budget for work that was done in this fiscal year of 2018 in 11 days, $90,000.
Tom, I totally lost you. You're saying from July 1 to July 11th, he's billed us $90,000?
Exactly according to this.
You shouldn't believe what you read online.
This is a report from the town. This is a report from the town.
Where?
In my hand.
From Facebook?
No. This is, let's see, this, if I may, this is, this comes from Kristen Benoit on Monday, July 16, 2018, at 2:01 p.m. There was a courtesy copy that went to Ernie as well. So according to this email from Kristen, we have spent in fiscal year 2018 to date in 11 days $90,580.25.
We are in fiscal year 28. Fiscal year 2018 just concluded June 30th. FY19 is the July 1st budget. That is.
Yeah, well, this fiscal year 2018, 2019.
2018 and 2019 is the current budget, July 1st.
Tom, can I see what you have?
That's a true statement. I got it myself. Right out of the finance director's office.
Well, I just want to see what he has.
Let me see.
Tom, none of those numbers are on here that you just said. This just shows 2013 to 2018.
I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong page.
I don't know.
No, it says 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 145,464.
So Tom, we're going into 2019. This is 2018. So as of June 30th, 2018, that's the expense for legal fees, $90,580.
Okay, that stands corrected. But I still don't understand the discrepancy here. If that's what was paid in 2015, how come it doesn't add up for 2016 and 2017? Those numbers are not correct.
So for 2015, you got $136,015. That shows that on this for 2015.
Correct.
2016, it shows 172. As he said, the 172 could be other legal fees. In other words, our labor attorney and whoever else. Our solicitor is at 151. It's 172 is the actual because there was probably somebody else who got paid out of that. Now fiscal 17 is 120,000 from the solicitor, 176,000 in the budget. I'm going to guarantee that's probably our labor attorney once again, because that's not the only attorney being paid out of administrative fees, as the manager said to you. So that's your discrepancy. These numbers are correct. This is what the solicitor has been paid. What you're seeing in the budget is other items. Now, you can ask Kristen.
That's what I had asked about.
So wait a minute.
What did this mean, administrative expenses?
So what you want to ask her was, everybody who got paid out of that budget line item in those years, and she can get you that information.
Okay, perfect.
Breakdown.
So there's your discrepancies.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
John Reed, 62 Andrews Avenue. Gentlemen, I'm really getting tired of doing this, but one of these days somebody's gonna straighten it out and I won't have to come here. First of all, I just wanna make one statement. David, you can take care of this. When Industrial Lane, 41 Industrial Lane, the town manager gave us a report that there was all kinds of illegal building permits, which you all agreed on. You guys remember that you gave tax credits for that building?
I recused myself, so I wasn't part of that.
That's only a portion of it because I'm getting tired of making papers. So if somebody wants to look into that, the town at this point is giving tax credits to a building that you all agreed was built illegally. I think that pertains to some kind of issue. I think, but that's your decision. Now, my next issue is got to do with the litigation, which I'm not asking anybody to speak on, okay? I'm gonna give you some more information. And the reason why I'm giving it to you is because if you all say you don't get any of it, so you all say, I have no knowledge. Or some of you say, we take the advice of counsel, which is fine, I agree with that. Either way you wanna go. But soon, and I hope really soon, we're all gonna be sitting in a whole different room. And no way on earth am I gonna let it happen where you guys say, well, we didn't get the papers, we don't know, so we're not liable, okay? You can read it at your convenience, I'm just gonna give you the background of it.
Thank you.
You got it, you wrote it.
Sorry.
What happened, you don't catch it?
That means I don't want. No. Thanks.
As you read through this,
Excuse me just a minute, Mr. Reed. Ladies and gentlemen, do not respond to anything that Mr. Reed says.
I already told him I'm
Those
not
are-
asking questions.
Please, I'll advise my client.
Go ahead.
These are subpoenas that were issued by Mr. Reed, Derek Reed, and Donna Reed.
No, they were issued by you.
Two, not five.
They were issued by you, not me.
You mind if I finish, John?
Yes.
See, I don't do your landscaping and play in the dirt like you do, so don't do my legal
Please, I
stuff.
know the grass is
Right.
up.
Sure. So anyway, please, I'm sorry, what?
Enough! Tom, enough.
Tom, you're
Mr.
entitled,
Solicitor.
Tom, you're entitled to your
Do
opinion.
not address the audience, please.
However, this is all part of the litigation.
before, don't forget, and you wanted us to do it another time, don't forget.
Mr. Reed, enough.
Okay, Cubby. Anyway, do not respond to anything he says. Obviously, this is the litigation that we've been talking about.
Mr. Sergeant.
And if he wants to challenge what I'm doing as far as an attorney, he has the right to take that to the Superior Court, the Supreme Court of Disciplinary. This is not the appropriate body to issue any type of opinion regarding my work. But go ahead, Mr. Reed.
I'm talking as a taxpayer, okay?
No, you're a litigant.
I'm both.
You're a litigant.
I'm both.
But in this instance, you're a litigant.
I'm a litigant.
Right.
Can I ask,
However you want to do it.
Sure,
My
John.
issue is,
Can I ask
want
one
you guys
question
to
first?
review this.
what is this?
We're having a
Good question.
deposition of
Okay.
Mr. Reed, and Mrs. Reed about the information that they put into their complaint. And that's as far as I'm gonna go. This is all discovery.
So I
But
will
who,
say this.
I thought this
Hold on,
complaint
Angel.
was from John Reed, Reed
Reed's
Landscaping.
Landscaping.
What's his wife and son got to do with it?
I can find out, his son's a corporate officer, and I believe his wife used to be a corporate officer. However, I can go through any witness I want, as long as it's gonna determine whether I can find any discovery. Yeah.
So the council was handed depositions from the Reeds, there's depositions on the town.
Notices.
This is subpoenas for the depositions on the Reeds. So there's going to be a second side of the story. So in other words, when anybody who gets deposed, and I did my homework after you gave us the papers, plain and simple. If I'm suing you and you're suing me, my attorney's going to depose your group. Your attorney's going to depose this group. Well, Mr. Reed's attorney has already deposed the town, and now our attorney's going to depose the Reeds. That's what this is. So that's the short answer.
Which
And
is
the-
standard procedure, there's no issues with that.
so there's, again, you gave us this and you make it sound like an issue. It's a standard procedure, as you just said.
I want to get into the content for a minute. Yep. The content is, okay, my litigation against the town is a land deal. Period. Okay? I'm being deposed, those papers want my wife to go there, who has nothing to do with my business. Okay, wants all my checking accounts, my client list, my equipment list, how many times they take a shit a day, okay? That's harassment. has nothing to do with my case. You want to ask me any of my paperwork that I have to do with the case, which the end of the request for documents does? That's perfectly fine. Gentlemen, you do what you want to do, okay? If you allow, okay, under the umbrella, you've all been elected, okay? If you allow as elected officials, your solicitors to harass, okay, a constituent or somebody that's in litigation with you, then you are part of it, okay? Now, all of you, some of you are businessmen, plain and simple, what on earth is my equipment, my accounts, my loans, what on earth is any...
How much
And
money
the
you
other
got?
question is, do I have a license to work in West Warwick? I think you guys gave me one.
You know,
Read it.
I don't want
Read
any
it.
part of this.
Read
I'm
it.
not in this litigation. I don't play games.
This is,
So
on
I'm
top of that,
sick.
you're paying tax dollars for this foolishness. I think that's got to do with maybe a class action suit, that you're spending the tax dollars foolishly. You want to take me on? Take me on. You want to go after my family? God bless you.
Thanks, Mr. Solicitor.
I don't think it's funny, Ted.
I do think it's funny,
it's funny.
Angelo. I think it's funny. I think it's funny. You know why? Because you're the person who said you suffered financial damages in your
How do you
complaint.
know if I did or not?
Oh, you don't know what your complaint says, John?
What's that got to do with my wife?
I need to find out what
Yeah,
financial
good luck.
damages you have.
Good luck. I'll bring you a
Thank
freaking
you.
roll of toilet
Thank you,
paper.
John. Thank you. And by the way, John, I can't wait to see you at your
I'll be at my
deposition.
deposition.
Thank you.
You're gonna be a cold
No.
day in hell before you see her.
Thank you.
you know, this is getting way out of hand. It seems like to me,
It's personal with them now.
Well, why don't you guys pay them what they want? Why don't you give them $1 million and it'll all be done? That's what they want.
My daughter-in-law's payroll for the last 8 years, what's that have to do with it?
Read your complaint, ma'am.
She works in Mount Life. Yeah, she works at Mount Life.
Yeah, well, read your complaint. You filed it, you read it, now you gotta play in the same league that I gotta play in. Yeah. Okay.
I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute.
I
Wait a minute.
second.
Before we adjourn, we've gotten many. I've said this before. Many emails and many folders of information, and I've read everything. Not that night or the night after, because there's a lot of reading, and I'm not an attorney. I don't want to be an attorney. Some of this is difficult to understand, because there is so much of it. And typically, I mean, I can't speak for the other councilmen, but I'm not in that field. So I read everything. This is the first I'm hearing about this. I don't want to be involved in this. I'm not for harassing anybody. If anything, possibly could we be up to speed with this in an executive session? Because all this keeps coming to us and it's all brand new. And I'm not questioning anything at this point except the fact that everything comes brand new and it continues to come at us. And at every meeting, it's Mr. Reed gives us, here you go for your light reading, for your light reading. And what do we do with it?
If I may respond?
Please.
Mr. Reed wants to litigate this matter through the town council. Mr. Reed wants to tell you that you're spending taxpayer dollars to defend against the claim that his company has made against you. I'll tell you right now, pay him what he wants. Okay, you don't have to worry about any more taxpayer dollars. You don't have to worry about me anymore. Pay him what he wants. Because if you pay him what he wants, there's going to be a line of people up there saying, every time something goes wrong between two private entities, we're going to bring the town in because the town will settle.
but my question is, if something can get settled, and you all said it before, let's give them 30,000 because it's gonna cost us 50 to litigate it. And then we're making things where, I mean, I know if somebody was suing me or I was suing somebody and they asked for my finances, my loans, what I have in the bank, what equipment I own, you know what I tell you.
Yeah, you know what a judge will tell you?
Yeah,
Produce
I
it.
know what a judge would tell me.
Yeah,
You
produce
better
it.
get a court order, produce nothing.
Right, okay, I'll get a court order, but the fact of the matter is...
I don't think so, because I already asked a couple people about this.
Yeah,
and
I understand you
it
ask
ain't
a lot
right.
of people about a lot of things.
Well,
but the fact
someone
of-
I trust.
The fact of the matter is...
Someone I trust.
That's okay. This is discovery in a civil matter,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Before we do, can I address the council quick? 2 seconds. I'm already, and I'm going to get out. I promise I'm late. My kids are sleeping already, so I got a couple of minutes.
Just like any public official, we're held to higher standards. Mr. President, the town solicitor is out of line. The way he yells and doesn't follow your directions, he should remain professional. No matter what a constituent is saying, we all get furious. But as an elected official or an appointed official or a hired official, you're held at a higher standard. You should practice that.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Yeah.
Because I-